Do I need to mute your microphone for all these intros? I don't know what's going on.
I'm a disaster. We have nothing planned.
Well, welcome back.
Yeah.
To the Buffalo Happy Hour, Mike. What are you doing?
I'm just laughing at Parks and Rec, man. And then I just thought it would be hysterical if the first thing that people saw was or seen. I don't know. I went to college. Is me just slamming my entire glass and starting off real strong. And then I just giggled over that. And then I realized the mic was picking up my laugh. But you know what? Whatever. We're here. So welcome back, everybody. We appreciate it. If you're new here, we're the Buffalo Happy Hour, where typically we have structure. As of now, we have no structure. We're just completely off the rails. Follow us if you would like. We would love it, honestly. Specifically on YouTube, if you subscribed, that'd be phenomenal. Outside of that, we're on Instagram as Buffalo Happy Hour 12. We're on Facebook as Buffalo Happy Hour. We got content out the wazoo. So, yeah, you're back, dude.
Yeah.
You're home.
Sure am.
You look a little tired.
A little bit.
So I have questions about steak, but we have to tell people where you were in the world, and then and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so I went to Indiana, which typically is not a place that you frequently visit unless you're a huge fan of Parks and Rec.
Right.
But what happened was Gina's friends, they used to live here in Buffalo, and then they relocated to Indiana, just right outside of Indianapolis.
For what?
His job. He works for Verizon.
Oh, okay.
So they moved him down there, and then they picked up their whole life and moved down to Indiana. So
Down or over?
kind of both. Like we took the 90 straight down, like all the way until Toledo, Ohio, and then shot south. So I mean, it was kind of like so maybe it was a little over, but like you follow the Lake Erie, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Which is a little bit of a curve. So it was a super exciting drive. If anyone has ever driven the 90, it's not fun.
Dude, the 90 is the most boring interstate in either direction. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Don't worry. That's the route you take to go to Maine. So
Perfect.
across the entire state of New York.
No, we're not doing it.
You have to.
I'm not coming. No.
Okay.
But yeah, so it was brutal. I mean, you drive a part of the 90 in Ohio, and it looks like you're in Idaho. Like there's nothing. It's flat land. We're just coming out of winter right now, so there's no vegetation. Like there's no corn stalks, but it's just plain dirt for miles. You're like, what am I'm gonna off myself and veer off the road because this is atrocious.
Yeah. And you did the entire drive yourself?
Yeah.
How many times did you stop for gas?
Once each way.
That's insane.
Yeah, no.
All right. Well, that's not bad then.
I mean, my car is brutal with gas. Like if I had my Subaru, that would have gotten 35 miles per gallon, even all souped up.
Right.
But this car, it gets like 21, 22 miles per gallon, but it's an 18-gallon tank, which is huge. So I didn't have to stop. Like we drove all the way basically to Toledo, and then I had to stop and get gas, and then finish the drive down, and then the same in reverse. So it was basically a halfway marker.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it was fun. On the way back, the 90 again is brutal, but I'm driving and I'm pretty sure we're like at Toledo, which is my only mile marker because I fell asleep throughout the entire rest of the drive because of how boring it was. But so we're in Toledo and we're driving by and I see like this cloud over Buffalo. And I'm like, well, that doesn't look good. Like it was a dark, dark cloud. Like we were getting rained out, but we weren't. Like I knew the weather coming into Buffalo. I'm like, this is fine. We don't have a rainstorm coming, so I don't know what this is.
It's taxes, friend.
Right? Yeah, it's just all the New Yorkers' money just flying up, like going to Canada. It's like, see ya. But yeah, so we're driving down, and I'm like, it's not raining, so I don't understand what's going on. And as we get closer, it's just like this big black cloud, and I'm like, something's on fire, thinking that it was like a controlled fire because we're out in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
So either a barn is burning down and someone's dying, or they're just burning vegetation and it's just polluting the air, and we don't care. But we get closer to it, and we just see both directions, fire trucks, police cars, like everything was swarming this area, and we get up to it, and it was like, it had to have been like a 2-acre fire, and it just started billowing black smoke all over the place. It's terrible if somebody died, but it was my excitement out of that whole ride because I got to see that.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And you have no clue what started it?
No, I was going to look at it actually when we got home to see if that area, it was close to, what's the pedophile dude from Ohio State or something like that? Sandusky, Jerry
Oh,
Sandusky,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, he was the
A while
Ohio
ago.
State Buckeye coach.
Yeah, didn't he like touch kids or something?
His like players, yeah.
Yeah, so close. But that's the only frame of reference that I have for that town, because Sandusky or whatever, however you pronounce it. But that's where the fire was. So it was probably Sandusky burning all of the evidence.
Oh my god.
No, I don't know. But it was just billowing, man. It was just clouds and clouds of black smoke. And it was crazy because we look over there and I saw like a little flame. I'm like, this can't be anything crazy. And then as soon as I saw that, both directions, the fire trucks just started flying. Like you can see, because again, it's flat land because there's nothing over there.
I wonder what it was. I mean, probably like buried tires or something crazy that the
Yeah.
whole thing just caught up.
Yeah. Or
That's
yeah, just
fascinating.
like an abandoned farm or something like that just sparked.
Wow.
Nuts. But yeah, so we went down to Indiana. They live right on the outskirts. It's about 30 minutes away from Indianapolis, which is cool because it reminded me similar to like Buffalo, because the town that we were in, it mirrors like some of the like Amherst or Williamsville or something like that, where it could be its own livable town without ever going into Buffalo itself. But you go into the big city to like do other stuff. So it was close enough. It was like about 30 minutes outside of Indianapolis. And we went there one night to go to St. Elmo's Steakhouse, which I was thrilled that we were able to go there.
It's the same place that Ron has a book of a photo of every meal he's ever had there. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. Well, so there's two steakhouses in Parks and Rec. There's Mulligan's, which is the one that they burned down like some common warehouse.
Yes.
That one. And then there's St. Elmo's. St. Elmo's is the one.
With the guy fighting in the picture.
No, that's Mulligan's.
That's Mulligan.
Right?
No, is it?
I think that's Mulligan's. So
Okay.
St. Elmo's is the one that they go for Ron's bachelor party. So remember when they all have their bachelor party when Ben is getting married, and they go to the bar where Tom gets the vodka, hand sanitizer, and all that stuff, and they just pass the bachelor hat around?
And Ron dances with the hat on.
Yeah, that's another episode.
Okay.
But yeah, so they go to the. It's like a big bachelor party.
Yep,
and
yep.
Adam's like, I don't care, just do it. Not Adam Scott, that's his real name. Ben Wyatt is like, yeah, I don't care what we do. I just want to have fun. So he gives his hat to everybody, and Tom goes to that bar with the liquid hand vodka, and he goes,
Like, I'll have that.
Yeah. What is this? There's no wrong way to consume alcohol. This is the wrong way to consume alcohol. But yeah, so they go to that bar, and then Andy, they go to the Colts Stadium, and he gets a pass thrown by Andrew Luck. And
Yeah.
then Jerry's like, I'm a big fan of yours. And Andrew Luck's like, okay, bud, chill out. And then for Ron, they go to St. Elmo's Steakhouse. And
What's it like inside?
dude, it was so nice.
Is it big?
Yeah, but what I didn't know is it's like it's not a chain, but the people who own it own so many other restaurants in the area.
Gotcha,
Like
okay.
there's St. Elmo's, and then there's this other restaurant that's literally right next door to it that serves different food. And then there's a couple in Fishers where we were, Fishers, Indiana. And then there's a couple like everywhere else. Like there's one St. Elmo's, but they own everything.
Right.
It's very strange. I thought it was going to be more like exclusive, like this is the only one around and this is what the owners put all their money into. But it's probably such an easily functioning restaurant at this point, because not only is it on the TV show, but it's a very, very, very nice restaurant in Indianapolis in general. Like they have, you know how here at Chefs, they have the pictures of all the famous people, like Jerry Springer was here and all these different people were here. It's kind of similar to that in this place. There's pictures of all the people. Gina found the picture of the Parks and Rec crew there, took a picture of it. But once you walk into the bar, and then you turn the corner and it's just mahogany woods. Like the whole restaurant is like mahogany. And then it's 2-layered. It was super fancy. We walk in. It's not like a dress code though, which is kind of cool too. Like you don't have to wear a suit and tie to go in.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was very inviting to anybody. The waiters were great. I mean, all of us ordered steak because obviously,
Right.
What are you going to order there? Chicken? Come on. But yeah, it was really nice. It was the other thing that I like about it too is it wasn't a la carte or whatever like Buffalo Chop House is, where you order your steak and then you order sides for the table. My fat ass eats all the sides for myself.
Right.
But you got quite a bit with your steak too. Like you got your choice of potatoes. You had a soup, which their soup of the day was a lobster bisque, which was fantastic. So yeah, they just gave you enough food where you didn't have to go and order much else.
Now, do they have a giant whiskey menu?
No,
Do they have Lagavulin?
no.
What do you mean, no? How do they not have it?
I don't. Okay, so I don't think so. There wasn't like a huge. So St. Elmo's makes their own whiskey, but not like that. Like it's more of a let's outsource all the whiskey
Okay.
production to a distillery, and then we'll just put our name on it.
Yeah.
That was the one thing that I was not happy with there. Their whiskey was not good. It reminds me of like Steelhouse that we have downstairs.
Yeah.
Like the packaging was nice, but it was
Steelbound?
no Steelhouse. Remember the bottle that Tom gave me that we never had on the podcast because it's like
Gotcha.
$14.
Yeah.
And it comes in like an oil can that it's just weird. But that's what it was kind of like. It was the description on their menu said it's whiskey blended or whiskey finished with cherry and like vanilla bean flavoring. So it's like a flavored whiskey, which to a steakhouse, that's not really what you want, in my opinion.
I agree with you.
Like it was just a very weird combination because if I'm going to have a steak, I either want a glass of red wine or I want, more importantly, whiskey. And I don't want like it to be a flavored whiskey because then that takes away from the steak. I don't know. I just was not a fan of it. I was going to buy a bottle for us to do on the show, but I did not want to because of how bad it was.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I was just not a fan of it. And yeah, so Gina got wine, I'm pretty sure. And
So they sold
yeah,
decent wines. Okay.
yeah, they sold good wines. And they might have had a good whiskey selection. It's just they didn't give it to me like in a pamphlet. And I saw that they have their own whiskey. So I was like, I have to try that. So I tried that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it was a great experience. Their steak was fantastic. They have like aged steaks. I've never heard of that before. Have you?
Aging steak?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have. Only because my brother-in-law is obsessed with doing it, and it's like a full process. So if you know you're having, say like Valentine's Day, then you have to buy it a certain time, do the rub for it, and then let it marinate. But I believe there's another step. I know there's another step. I just don't remember what it is. And then you leave that in the fridge, and that's considered aging it for that period of time. It's literally just sitting in the fridge, not getting bad because of the other step. It's basically like smoking it or whatever. And then that's technically aged for X amount of time, and then you cook it, and it's aged steak.
Because I'm pretty sure like on their menu, it was like an aged for 90 days or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't even know that you can age something for that. I thought it went bad.
No, it's all because of the second step that I just don't. I've never done it. He
Do they,
told me about
vacuum
it.
seal it or something?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
it's a full thing. I was like, I didn't know any of that existed. He's like, well, yeah, it's aged. I'm like, why would you? I just want to eat it now.
It tripled the price of it. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not going to try this because
Right.
it was relatively expensive because it's a well-known steakhouse. So yeah, it was pretty expensive, but it was a good time. I mean, we had a blast down there. The weather is similar to like here. So it wasn't like crazy hot down there. And yeah, it was just a good time. We went to Top Golf, which was also awesome.
Yeah.
'Cause I've never been to Top Golf before.
Okay.
It was really cool.
So were you aiming for something?
Yeah, so they have like when you go there, you sit in a bay, like different bays, and it's kind of like
It's a giant golf simulator, except it's actually real.
yeah,
Like
so
the simulator room
yeah,
section,
Yeah.
stall. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you went to like a golf simulator like we have,
Yeah.
you can order drinks, you can order beer and all that stuff, but instead of you hitting into a screen, you're hitting outdoors.
Right, into real life.
So it's like a real driving range. So they have like different things. Like there's one group of buckets that you can land it in at like 50 yards, 75 yards, 100 yards, 90 yards, like all different yardages. And as you get further away and you get closer to the pin, it gives you more points. So like the circles in the closer ones are smaller, but they're close. So they're only like 50 yards out. The ones in the back are bigger, but they're 200 yards out. So you just shoot aimed for them. I was like ripping it, dude. I had like my best golf day I've ever had in my life. Yeah, it was fun.
Are the balls equipped with like GPS trackers? Every single ball is?
Yeah.
Now, I saw a video of a guy fall. He fell over the thing. What, like, are there tiers? How high of a fall was that?
I think that there's, I think the one that we were at, there were 3 tiers. So if you think each tier is probably 15 feet, because Yeah, like 15 feet. So if he was on the top row, I mean, he fell like a good 50 feet.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah, it's enough to break a leg. You know what I'm saying?
A little more than that, depending on how you land.
Oh, yeah. Before we keep going, if you are new here and you don't know what that is, every single time we hit the 15-minute mark, we press a beep. This started in my basement. We've got a lot of new subscribers, so I figured we should probably touch on this.
Yeah, it's been a while.
We had a beep in the basement. It was a Wi-Fi beep. Every time that the battery was like dying or whatever, it would beep every 15 minutes. So when we were downstairs, it was easy because we had no idea when it was coming. And it was just a fun game for us to incorporate it because I was cheap and I didn't feel like buying a new battery for my Wi-Fi. That's basically what it came down to. Mm-hmm. So now since we moved into the garage, we don't have the Wi-Fi beep anymore. So we recorded it and we put it on a button here. So now every 15 minutes we press it just for a little ooh-ah.
It's a fun drinking game.
Yeah.
So if you want to drink along with us to every beep, then you can. Mm-hmm. And again, thanks to Megafan for recording the beep and sending it to us in a file. Is savant, a technological savant. But anyways, we are having St. Lawrence's, one of their Admiral Collection spirits. So I should probably tell everybody what the hell we're drinking. It's a straight whiskey, and it's finished in wine barrels. This one is finished in a Cabernet Sauvignon barrel. So it adds a couple different flavor notes. The profile is completely different, but it's great nonetheless. Mm-hmm. So we'll rate it in a little bit and go from there.
You have your golf lesson coming up. Speaking of golf, right?
Yeah, the 13th of April.
You excited about it?
Yeah, but I'm terrified.
Are you going to start stretching?
I basically already did.
Dude, you are... So when you go to the gym, do you do a lot of like... I know that you work on core a lot, but do you do a lot of oblique, like golf-like exercises or no?
So when I used to play baseball, there's a ton of that just because it's all about your swing. Mm-hmm. So I did a lot of those exercises, but then I stopped. So the core work that I do incorporates it. However, there's nothing like a golf swing for 2 hours or an hour, however long the lesson's going to be. So I'm going to be sore, which is fine, but I know that he's going to turn me in ways that I've never been turned before. So speaking of Sandusky, but I just, I don't know if it's going to be, super beneficial up front. I think it's a long-term investment where I can always look back and understand like, oh, that's what he was talking about. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be one of those, but I'm fired up for it because I'm going to learn a metric boatload of info.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's all about feel. So like when he tells you, because he's going to tell you, you need to feel like you're dropping your hands more. You're going to feel like you're dropping them like to the floor, but you're like moving them like a millimeter. And you're like, oh my God, this is so weird.
Yeah.
Like my biggest thing when I was doing it was I was over rotating my hips, which is very weird. So he's like, feel like you're not moving. I feel like I'm not moving. What do you mean feel like I'm not moving? So when I went to turn, he's like, yeah, you're turning still over what the normal person should, but you feel like you're not moving. I'm like,
that's a thing. Like I can't, what's going to frustrate me is I really just want to go out and play 18. Hmm. And I know that with the 4 clubs I use, I'm going to have to go to a driving range basically all year. Yeah. Even after this lesson, it's just going to further cement that. So it's going to be $11 for me to go hit a bucket and spend 2 hours. And that's going to be my entire season because I have to literally reteach everything about what I've ever done for the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. It's going to be atrocious. And you're going to get super mad because you're going to want to golf and I can't. And it's fine. Or just be like, just meet me at the range and I'll just be poopy.
No, dude, I'm joining a club this year.
Yeah, but...
So I don't need you now.
Oh, sorry.
No, I'm just saying, like, I want to... I'm joining a club. That way I can go out after work for, like, 9 holes even.
Yeah, I know.
So even if you can't, I'm just going to run out.
Right.
So...
That's fine.
Yeah.
Big spender.
Hell yeah.
No,
it's cheap, though. But yeah, so you're excited for that. But yeah, so with Indianapolis, it was... Or Indiana in general, it was just, like, a cool spot. And also, too, like, we've always talked about moving states. We really can't. We're not going to. We're not moving out of Buffalo. But Indiana is a state that doesn't have income tax. So it's cool to like look at everyone's house and how perfect everybody's house is because they have more money.
Correct. Yeah.
And like they can spend money on landscaping because they're not spending it on Cuomo's aides. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's tough.
I just hope that things turn in the next 5 years to benefit the middle class at the state level. The national level, it is what it is. I mean, we're kind of screwed, but at least for the next 4 years, because we actually know what to expect for the next 4 years. Anything beyond that, we literally have no clue what's going to happen. But at the state level, hopefully things can change and the quality of life can increase. But who knows? We'll see. But yeah, it's pretty sweet. I was going to ask like what it's like comparable wise in regards to like cost of living, but if there's no income tax, then that's kind of out the window.
Yeah, I don't understand why more places don't do it. The morale in the area is just so much better because people aren't getting taxed for nothing.
Correct.
So there is one thing though, and I'm pretty sure it's tied with taxes and income tax. They have a ton of HOAs there. So HRAs are housing.
Yeah, why?
Yeah, because they don't pay income tax. So a lot of their state taxes that we pay to go to state facilities go to like keeping up their neighborhood and like paying everyone collectively paying for recycling and all that stuff. So it's more of a you're paying taxes, if you will, for your neighborhood rather than paying taxes right now for New York City. So there are some benefits to it, obviously, but we should also talk about that because there's a lot of HOA stuff there. So if you're living in the middle of nowhere in Indiana and you're not living in a subdivision, my assumption is you have to pay for either your own recycling and your own garbage or you have to take it somewhere.
Yeah, like a town dump.
Yeah.
I mean,
Which isn't bad, but
no, not at all.
still, there's a lot of HOAs. So when we
You
were
grew
there,
up in a town that had a dump.
yeah. So, but I wasn't tasked with doing it.
Who did? The man of the house?
Yeah, the man of the house. Dude, I had a Civic. I'm not throwing garbage in the back of the Civic or a 94 Accord. But so when we were down there, I was looking at houses just to like see what's available down here. And everything like double the amount of money to buy the house, but it's the same monthly payment because their property tax is like $50 a month.
Right, it's all.
And ours is like $5,000 for the year.
Yeah, depending on where you are.
It's disgusting.
Or higher. Maybe lower. It's gross. It's gross. Whatever. We'll figure it out. We'll make it all work.
But where we were was 2 hours away from Louisville. Hell yeah.
I would have stayed an extra day.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
I know.
I would have. That would have been great.
It's all good. One day we'll do that. It'll be a nice trip. We'll take it, I don't know, a week or whatever.
To get our executive bourbon steward course, bud.
I know.
That's what we'll do.
I know. We're going to have to like study for it real hard.
Hell yeah.
It's going to be an extensive course.
It'll happen eventually.
Yes, it will.
So speaking of studying, both of them have, so Gina's friends, both of them have their real job, and they're studying to be a real estate agent. Mm-hmm. Would you ever, what would be your second job of choice right now?
This podcast.
Outside of this podcast, because we do not get paid anything for this podcast, so it's not even technically a job.
I know, but it'd be sweet.
I know, but if you had to think, a lot of would you work in a restaurant? Would you be a bartender? Would you do real estate? Would you what type of outside of work activity would you do to make supplemental income?
It's interesting you ask because I've done that since I was 15, 16 years old.
Me too.
If it wasn't landscaping or something, it was involved in personal training for fitness and nutrition. The issue with that is that you have to essentially weed out so many people that actually aren't serious, and it's so demoralizing because you're putting so much work into one client is exhausting. And then when they're not taking it seriously or doing the things that you're asking them to do so that they can reach their own goals that they gave to you, it just sucks. And it's exhausting trying to keep up with always being the motivator because it is a give and take relationship. So if I were to do it all over again, I don't think I would do that. But for me, real estate is something that I would just jump 100% into. I couldn't do that part-time. Or,
yeah.
You know what I mean? So I would just become a full-time real estate agent and then just do that. I wouldn't do that part-time personally. So if I don't know, man.
My
even consulting. Yeah. The hell would I consult with, you know?
Yeah.
Unless we did private tastings with bourbon.
Right.
That'd be an option. We'd host private parties. People pay. Basically it would pay for our gas and for the booze. Mm-hmm. And then, I don't know, maybe like $3 for our time, so we make something. We're too freaking cheap to do this, man. You know, and then do that. Do private tasting parties. That'd be sweet. That'd be a nice side gig.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I don't know. I really couldn't.
Real estate is so interesting because there's no requirement really for you to like really be on and sell as much as you want. Like my real estate agent that I have right now, he's a friend that dates back all the way to elementary school with me. And he does like every other job in the entire world also. Like he has a full-time job, but he doesn't stop working. And he does real estate on the side, and he'll only sell like 1 or 2 houses a month. But like his time commitment to that is like nothing. And he's making a good chunk of money because every house that you sell, you're getting 3% of it. Mm-hmm. So if you're selling good property, you're going to make quite a bit of money in a month.
Right.
So I was always toying with that. Like I would be interested to be a real estate agent, but I don't know if I could.
What do you mean?
I don't know if I would be good at it.
The hell kind of attitude is that? You're not going to be good at it with that attitude. What does that even mean?
Because you have to, in order to be good at something, you have to be passionate about it. And I don't know if I'm passionate about real estate.
Realty. I guess you're not wrong by saying that.
Right?
Well, I don't know. It's all... sure. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. You know, a firearms instructor's course would be pretty interesting to do on the side. And then you can just re-qual people for their different qualifications. Mm-hmm. That'd be a nice side gig. But
what about a firearms dealer? Would you ever deal?
Or be like an
Like
FFL?
a licensed dealer? Yeah.
I don't know. You could. It's just kind of frustrating and annoying. And I also hate paperwork. That's why I was never an officer in the military. So I'd probably say no. I hate paperwork.
Then you wouldn't want to be a real estate agent either because that's all paperwork.
Well, right. And you're dealing with the state? No. No. My perfect idea of government is one guy at a desk.
I will get completely rid of the postal office. I'll deliver my own mail. I put out 3 fires last week.
No, but it's, yeah. I don't know. I guess we would just have to work very hard, harder than we are. Just kidding. I don't know. I honestly don't think we could work harder on this. So getting this to a point where it becomes a legitimate side hustle from a hobby, then, which we already treat it like a side hustle. We just don't receive any benefits outside of networking.
We just reached like a big milestone for like the actual amount of money that we made, and it's nothing.
No.
And I'm so excited that we reached this milestone, but it's like it literally couldn't buy any of our equipment.
No, it could buy 1 bottle of booze.
So everybody that's listening on Spotify, if you hear the whole welcome to Anchor type little sponsorship, that's what we're talking about, because that's the only way that we get paid is you people listening on Spotify or any of your podcast platforms and hearing that ad in the beginning, which we should probably re-record. That was like about a year ago.
I'm down. All
right.
Yeah, we can do that. That's easy.
So with Anchor, no, I'm just kidding. We're not going to do it now. But yeah, so we really should re-record that. But yeah, that's the only way that we're making money, and we didn't make anything at all.
No.
There were like some random sponsorships that also came up, charity sponsorships about like, make sure you get out and vote. And we're like, well, I'm not doing charity sponsorships. We don't get paid for anything now. I'm not going to do extra work to not get paid. It's not benefiting anybody. It's just benefiting the state.
Right.
Or the states.
And there's so many things that could sponsor the podcast that would benefit greatly.
Ideally, so realistically speaking, what would you like to sponsor the podcast? Like, speaking realistically, don't say Traeger grills or something like that. I'm listening to a lot of Joe Rogan too.
Even that shooter trial of all the different whiskeys that you can get sent to your house. That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
If they sponsored us and then we can literally just try all the things, that'd be cool.
I was thinking what would be cool is like liquor.com, because liquor.com, we get basically all of our cocktail recommendations from anyway, especially if they're not on the site.
Right.
We can be like, this is our cocktail section sponsored by liquor.com. Mm-hmm. Right. We'll tag them in this post. Share the video. Let's get this out here. Let's get paid.
I know. Help us out. Also, subscribe on YouTube.
Yeah, really.
But no, it's exciting. And then, so we don't have any trips scheduled until June.
Yeah.
We really have nothing.
Well, we have a little party going on at Memorial Day weekend, my birthday weekend.
That's true.
It's going to be fun.
I got to figure the wife's work schedule out for that because I really want to be a part of it with her. But if not, then I'll just hang out with you like usual, and then she can have FOMO. Sounds like a her problem.
Yeah. Well, she's off Sundays all the time, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, just
Well, the
do
block
Sunday.
party starts Friday.
Well, yeah, but everyone's going to be hammered until Monday anyway, so don't worry about it.
True. Very true.
But yeah, that's going to be fun. It's going to be a good time. Our beer is getting some attention from Aseptic Fruit Purees,
Yeah.
which is exciting.
Yeah, they tagged us in that post, which is cool. So for those that have tried the beer, we appreciate your feedback. All of it has basically been good, except for the ones that have gotten like an old can and they had the fruit puree in the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing we could do about that. That's basically just part of the canning process. That was the sediment essentially that was in the keg, came out. It is what it is. However, it's still a good beer. It's a nice summer crusher. Colleen was pleasantly surprised, and she's not a beer fan. She's
Next
like,
week,
"This
we'll
is
have it
actually-"
on the episode.
Are we?
Yeah. I was going to do it this week, but we had the St. Lawrence Spirits interview releasing with this episode.
Right.
So we'll do it next week.
Yeah. So, should we rate this thing? How long has it been? 30 minutes? See? 30 minutes.
31 minutes.
I felt it in my soul. Just want to crush this glass and then just re-pour, but it's fine.
I thought you meant like break it. And I'm like, please don't. All right. So you want to rate this thing?
Yeah.
Label branding. What do you got for this?
A++, checkmark plus. I'm obsessed with their labels. I love the streak of that popping color. The stars make me happy. Their logo, I kind of like fanboy over more than I probably should, but I don't know, come at me. So I like that there's two different fonts. It's one thing I did notice. They have cursive on the bottom, and then they have, well, semi-cursive on the bottom. And then they just have like a nice solid bold font up top. It does catch your eye. They have a glass cork, not a standard cork. It's fine. And then on the back, they basically just put it right in your face. Like, hey, we won New York State Distiller of the Year twice, back to back, 2019, 2020. Try to keep up. Makes me happy. Then obviously they got the normal labels, but they handwrite the batch, which for me is
huge.
big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any handcrafted note is nice. On the back of the tag, it goes over the tasting notes and then different aromas that you're going to get, but it also tells you specifically what kind of wine barrel that this one's finished in. Again, this one is a Cabernet Sauvignon. So it's just a nice overall classy bottle. And then we took the original wrapper thing off, but you can also leave it there. It's all based on what you want. Do you agree or do you disagree, or do you have any other forementioned things that you want to talk about?
I agree.
I agree.
The thing that I like, we've talked about this, is that reflective thing at the bottom. Like,
Yeah.
this one is a special because this is called the Admiral's Collection, which, is Mike said, is finished in barrels. It's a secondary finishing process. Their regular barrel, their regular products have that same reflective strip there. I have a rye in my basement. We've done the Icebreaker and the
Captain's Flask.
Captain's Flask. All of them had reflective. It's just, it really catches your eye. And if you haven't watched the interview, go back and watch it, or it's coming up actually in this section. So if you are interested in hearing more about this, they really focused on marketing first when they were developing their whole logo and brand. So it's interesting to see how they kind of tailored it around what catches the eye, which I think they did a great job of. The other thing that I'd like to talk about is the color of this is beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
It's a dark copper, and I love it. And that might be because of the wine barrel, but it's beautiful. So yeah, what was it? A++, checkmark plus?
Yeah.
Nailed it. All right, nose.
I wish it wasn't 30 degrees outside because I really want to have this with a cigar, but that's fine. That's fine. One day soon.
We have shirts from them too that we were supposed to wear today, but it's also 42 degrees outside, so I'm not wearing a t-shirt.
Correct.
We'll
Yeah.
wear it on a future episode.
Yeah, it's cold. You are getting... It's almost like a hint of cherry, and then tobacco, leather, and joy and happiness.
The cherry's a good call. The cherry, and then like there's an undernote of vanilla in there.
Yeah, I agree. So nose, I'm gonna go A+.
A+. I like it. Initial taste.
I'm gonna go Again, with some nomenclature after that. I'm still formulating which one I want to go with. There is some oil in here, but it does run decently quick. It's not like it's super lagged on the glass. Again, this is a 90 proof, so that does fit, but it's just a very, very nice initial taste. It's not, there's no real heavy burn. It's very smooth. In the initial taste, I'm getting a bit of butter, some vanilla, some caramel, not a lot at all, but I'm still picking up those notes of cherry inside the initial taste. And then outside of that, it's just very smooth and soft.
You're getting kind of like a tanniny taste to it. Like it kind of leaves your mouth like not oily, but like
bitter and dry. Almost, I mean, which I believe is from the wine.
It has to be, yeah.
It has to be because it's a Cab Sauv, and that's very similar to the finish of a Cab Sauv. And then for the rest of the nomenclature, I'm fine with A++ on the initial taste.
A+ check mark. Let's do that.
A+ check mark. I agree.
I agree. All right, ending note.
It's a lingering ending note, mainly due to the fact that it's an 90 proof, but it's not overbearing. It's not like indigestion, but you get the warming sensation in your chest. It's a very low hug, but it's welcoming, and you do want more of it. Mm-hmm. For those that are brand new to any hard spirit, you would most likely prefer to cut this with water. However, our palates are very different, especially after doing this for 2 years. So we can take that, we can handle it. Other people going into it, they might make the ugh face at first, and then they realize like, oh, there are some undertones that I can kind of pick up. So I think that's worth mentioning, especially if somebody does want this.
This has been lingering for like about 25 seconds at this point.
It's long. But it's so nice, and it's warming. Again, I can have this year round. It's perfect when it's 30 out. Mm-hmm. And then it's also nice in the summer, especially if you do like just a splash of water. I wouldn't douse this thing, but by any means. But yeah, 1 to 3 drops, depending on how much is in the glass. Totally fine with.
Yeah, what's interesting is this isn't sweet.
No.
Like you can't taste any of the corn in here. Or any characteristics of a corn whiskey.
No. You get some like maltiness to it, but it's not anything crazy. For the rating, I'm still going like A+.
A+, yeah. I was going to say the same thing. Yeah, the water just kind of brought out some of the vanilla and caramel. It cut it a little bit. Mm-hmm. It brought out more of the barrel flavor, not the original barrel flavor, not the wine barrel flavor.
Gotcha. And this is a higher char from what I remember talking with him. So that does definitely make sense. But you're not getting the traditional wood sugar. What you're getting more of is the fruitiness of the wine barrel. Mm-hmm. And then like the cherry, the caramel, the vanilla. But you're not getting like the wood sugars like you would with a traditional Kentucky bourbon. Which, in my opinion, I do like. Yeah. I love the fact that the Admiral Collection does have different finishes in different barrels.
Are you getting any, like, plum?
Yeah, I can see that.
Like, not the actual plum itself, but more of the skin. The skin of it. Yeah,
the skin. Yep. I'm with you.
Interesting. Maybe that's just what the water brought out.
Let's see what this says. Tasting notes, aromas of black currant. Couldn't tell you. Cherry and tobacco, hit those. With caramel tones, got that. With a light anise finish. Anise? I still don't know what anise is.
Remember, Christmas cookies? Like Christmas cookies that come in that big green box?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's anise.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, that makes sense. Now that I actually know what the hell it is.
I think they're called Santa's Favorites or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see it.
Okay.
I'm more picking up the cherry.
I'm getting plum. The cherry. Yeah.
But that might be because I haven't had black currants probably in eons, so I'm not 100% sure.
We should be super awkward and go to Wegmans and do all the things where we just pick up random
We'll talk about that after. So let's go. Final rating. Ready?
Yeah, give me that countdown.
3, 2, 1. 92. What?
I was going to say 89 and then you threw me off.
Why? What are you doing?
I'm new, man.
All right, folks. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time.
Take care, guys.
So 89 and 92. Mm-hmm. All right.
91? 90.5.
There you go.
Math. It is good. It's solid. I mean, it's just a solid spirit that you would want to have on your shelf. It's $45. They ship anywhere within New York State online, which is huge. Mm-hmm. So if you are in New York State, you are interested, feel free to pick them up. In regards to their lineup, because they have a ton of products, being available in all different markets, it's kind of tough. They have a fantastic rep in Buffalo. And she does a really good job. She's out there hustling. September, shout out. However, I don't know what their presence is in other demographics or areas or per se or markets or whatever word you want to choose.
They're still new. So, like,
They're 5 years old.
Yeah, don't think that they've won 2 of the last 5 years saying that they're old, like a very well-established distillery. They're new.
Yeah, they're 5 years old. They're still figuring it out. They tapped into the Buffalo market. Congrats to them. That's a massive deal, especially because they're literally, for those that know the area, drive to Watertown, go to Fort Drum, make a left, and then drive into the river, and you'll basically drive into their front lawn.
Yeah.
Like, that's how it goes. So they're new. They are online. Support them, help them out. They're veteran owned. The owner, Jody, is a Army aviation officer and just a super humble, well-rounded, intelligent guy who knows his product, knows his market, knows his math, and everything about it makes sense, which is why for us, they're right next to Devil's River. Like,
yeah,
we'll have Devil's River on the shelf and then St. Lawrence on the shelf literally at all times. This is just how it will go. So, and that's us. That's our palate. That's where we like our spirits, proof level, and everything else. But you're getting a lot out of a 90 proof, $45 bottle when you pick up St. Lawrence. Highly recommend.
Mm-hmm. I agree. So if you do want to hear more about St. Lawrence, again, we talked about this already, but go back to last Friday, 2 days ago at this point, check out their interview that we did with Jody, the owner. Mm-hmm. It was a great conversation. It was about an hour long. And we just talked about everything St. Lawrence, Clayton, his background. It was a fantastic discussion. And the hotel that we stayed at, because we stayed on premise for the night, which was a very, very awesome experience.
Yeah, because he's 3.5 hours north. So it was a weekend getaway for us and the housewives. It was great. So again, thank you for your hospitality. Thank you for your spirits. Thank you for your continued support of our podcast. We appreciate everything you guys have done, specifically sharing our posts just to help you guys out, which is nice. And we're looking forward to future collaborations and everything else.
Absolutely.
It's awesome.
Maybe a barrel pick in the future. You never know.
We'll see. We also have to figure out a cocktail section for this episode. But that's okay.
Did you do one?
For this specific spirit, no.
Not me either.
But it's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Go Google one yourselves. No, we'll post it. So for all of you that don't know too, if you follow our Instagram at the Buffalo Happy Hour 12 and our Facebook at the Buffalo Happy Hour, we do cocktail posts every Tuesday and Thursday. So we will make cocktail posts for this specific spirit to post online. So if you're not following us on those 2 platforms, go to those and figure it out yourself, because all these are very good cocktail recommendations that we throw out. We don't throw out chintzy stuff.
No, it takes time.
Right.
Yeah. It takes time to find, develop, and then post. It's it honestly takes like 15 to 20 minutes for a single cocktail post, because there's a lot to it.
We spend a lot of time doing this podcast.
Yeah. For us, it's a part-time gig that we don't really reap benefits from outside of just pure enjoyment that we're trying to help. Speaking of upcoming content, working on a youth club in a suburb of Buffalo, very intertwined with like inner city and not. So I'm excited for that, because there's a lot within Buffalo that is not discussed. Like, small businesses is one, which is why we focus on them. But also hearing like the owner's story, I think is extremely fascinating, which is why we love to interview them and hear how they got to where they're at. But broadening our horizons and audience, there's a lot that we haven't tapped into market-wise. So this youth club is huge, and youth sports is huge. So I reached out to a youth club in Lackawanna to see if they're willing to be on the show, to talk about what their mission statement is, what they offer the community, and basically what they do and who they are. So they did respond. They're interested. Working on that tonight after we are done recording, right before bed. And then we're going to nail down a date, swing out, interview them, and hear basically why youth community clubs matter and how we can better support them, because there's so many aspects that don't get reached, don't get funded, don't get any awareness at all. And I think for us, it fits. I mean, the whole dynamic of it makes sense for us. So I did reach out. They responded back. I'm excited for it. So we'll pick a day and go from there.
Yeah. So for everybody, we focus on small businesses, but that's not where we stick. We do a lot with people just understanding their story. So recently we just released an interview with Vic Carucci, who was an amazing interview. Worked for the Buffalo News, huge Buffalo Bills beat reporter, basically. And we just interviewed and released the Reed Ferguson interview, too. Those aren't directly in line with small business supporting, but they encompass what Buffalo does, which is what we want to do. We want to capture the overall essence of what Buffalo is by supporting small businesses, but also by bringing light some of the people that help Buffalo get to where they are.
Yeah, so Reed Ferguson specifically does nonprofit charity work with veterans and small businesses in Buffalo specifically. So having that tie in with the fact that he is a captain on the Buffalo Bills and who we are, it all made sense. Like it fit our mission statement. That's why he was on the show. For Vic Carucci, it's the same thing. He's been with the Buffalo News. He got hired in 1982. He was on the road. He was on the beat, doing everything he could to basically bring more awareness to Buffalo sports and then all professional sports in general. And he removed, which I think is paramount for today's climate and atmosphere and environment in general, he removed opinion from journalism and specifically wrote on the facts of whatever the topic was for that article. So he didn't mince words. He just told you, like, hey, the Buffalo Sabres lost 5-4. Here's what happened. Here's who scored. Here were the 3 stars. Moving on.
For the 19th game in a row.
For the 18th, 19th game in a row. So it's nice having those people on our show because they're able to essentially broadcast what they do to our audience specifically, which is growing literally every day. So moving forward, what we're trying to do is tie in not just small business distilleries and then small businesses within Buffalo, but the major players that are moving and shaking within Buffalo to make a difference and really drive home the point that Buffalo is the city of good neighbors. So, and that's for everybody, all demographics, all race, creed, religion, whatever the hell. And we're just excited to further work with them and promote them. That's it.
Damn right.
That's it.
So we should probably talk about the upcoming release that we have too with 3 Chord, because we're closing in on it.
We are. So 3 Chord Bourbon reached out to us asking if we wanted to do a single barrel release of a whiskey. And we said, of course. Not only are we certified bourbon stewards, but we love working with 3 Chord. They're based in Buffalo. They're all about the brand, all about the community. They keep as much of their work in-house as possible in regards to Buffalo. So it was a very easy yes for us. We went out, we hand-selected a panel, went out to 3 Chord, tried a bunch of different samples, talked bourbon for 2 hours. It was great. And then after that, we narrowed down all of the samples to 1. And then there was another option that we
weren't able to get.
We weren't able to get it up front. Once we got it, we then researched it. That's how I'll put that. AKA we tasted it all day. And then once we were done tasting it, we realized combining them would probably make sense. So from there, we worked with our graphic designer who worked with our logo. He also does work for basically every small business in beer from here to Guam. So reached out to him, sent it to him. He came up with a label. if you are interested in buying a bottle, it is going to be a higher proof. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. It is what it is.
It's going to be at least 110.
At least 110 proof. But
It'll
below,
put hair on your chest, as the kids say.
but below 128 proof. So it's going to be in that range. We're very excited for it. It's going to pick up a lot of different tasting notes that you would not get in other bottles. So if you are interested, please let us know. Send us a message. And then that way you will understand kind of like where Derek and I's palates are at in regards to what we like, specifically from the proof point standpoint. And then that way you can be involved in further supporting 3 Chord and the Buffalo Happy Hour podcast by picking up a bottle of our single barrel release.
And this is going to be a very limited quantity too. And I'm pretty sure like a third of it is already accounted for based off of
Probably.
you, me, our immediate friend group, and the immediate people that we've told.
Yeah.
It's probably a third already accounted for. So if you are interested, please let us know as soon as possible so we can mark down, because right now we are still in the early stages at this very moment. But if you tell us, we might be able to increase the order quantity depending on how many we actually get. Interested wise. So if you are interested, let us know. Let us know how many bottles you want. Personally, for me, I'm going to get 4. So we're just saying.
And then for, in regards to price point, it's going to be below
50.
It's going to be below $50
I
a bottle,
think, yeah.
but above $35 a bottle.
Yeah.
So somewhere in,
Maybe
like the
below
40s.
60 to 35.
Okay, that's a broad range. I like it.
Yeah.
Just so you kind of have an idea of what you're getting into if you say yes to a bottle.
I just don't want it to be $51 and people be like, what are you doing?
I know.
So like below 60. I don't want to go over above 60 because for me personally, you can get this bottle right here in front of us that we're drinking right now from St. Lawrence for $45.
$45.
So I and Mike too, we don't want to put something out there that is extraordinarily expensive because it doesn't make sense when you can buy something like this. So we want to keep it between that range.
Yeah. So let us know. Drop a comment. Message us on any platform. Doesn't matter. We'll see it. And we'll go from there. We're excited for our first ever single barrel release.
And more to come. We've already been in talks with people
Yeah.
in the future because we, again,
a
make
lot of whiskey.
zero money.
Correct. Correct. And if you want to help us grow, please subscribe on YouTube because it does help.
It does. It helps the algorithm.
Yes.
YouTube does some weird stuff. I don't really know it. I don't really understand it, but they do some weird stuff.
There's a lot of rules that people don't know about YouTube either. We should talk about it next week. There's what time? How much time are we at?
53 minutes.
There's so much randomness where it's like same with Facebook. If you post about alcohol without certain disclaimers or certain words used in the post or certain things censored in the photo, they remove it because it reaches a audience that's too young to consume alcohol or whatever. So they just straight up ban it. For YouTube, if you listen to a song for more than like 30 seconds, they remove it. If you post about a specific thing, they can pull it. Like there's so many ins and outs of YouTube that we still learn all the time. Yeah. Same with Facebook and Instagram, and they're the same company. So it's like, what? Well, hold on. Like that's all we do. So like, how do you censor the only thing we do when we're trying to reach all the peoples? And they're like, no. Like this is how you get around the algorithms because a computer is always going to just denote it and move on. So with no mercy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll ever get to a point as a civilization where we become computers?
Ron, when I go to the ATM, is there someone behind handing out dollar bills? No. Oh, yes, because robots.
Do you think so? Like
I hope
Elon
not.
Musk, dude, we got into this conversation way too late. It's already 54 minutes. But Elon Musk is talking about that Intralink stuff.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. No.
Where they plant something in your brain and you can then non-verbally communicate with people?
Yeah, right. Yeah, no.
What would it take to have you do it?
Nothing. I'm way too old school. And that's not me. I'd rather just live in the woods and be alone from everyone. Like I don't want to talk to you telepathically.
How dangerous would that be though?
Extremely dangerous.
You know how many thoughts in my head that should never go out?
You ain't kidding. Yeah. I mean, think about
Not bad thoughts. All right.
I mean, those
It's
exist too.
subjective,
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Especially when I'm driving. Yeah, there's some awful thoughts that happen when I'm driving.
But the fact that you and I are humans is what we suppress those and we don't act on them because we're not violent people.
Well, I mean, yeah, outside of like road rage, but even like
Yeah.
the whole sexual dynamic would change, like everything, you know, like, and if it, listen, I will be the first one to tell you if you think that men are worse than women, you're out of your mind.
Oh, yeah.
There's some grotesque human beings on both sides of the gender scale thing. It's also, speaking of that, did you know, I learned this, did you know that what we called bisexual is now pansexual?
Yes.
I didn't know
did know
that.
that.
I didn't know that.
You know how I knew that?
How?
Joe Rogan.
Oh. I didn't know that.
He's my life now.
He should not be your life.
His podcast is my life.
That's like supporting China. Support small business. Listen to our podcast.
Well, that's what
I
we're
get
trying
it.
to be. We're trying to be in the area. We're trying to be the Rogan of the Buffalo, New York area. Because we want people like we have coming up. A great example of that. We interviewed a wine sommelier. Knows way more about wine than you and I do. And probably knows way more about wine than anybody that's been on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Right.
I can guarantee you that. He hasn't interviewed a wine sommelier yet.
Right.
So listening to our podcast, you would get that information. But there's a lot on there. Like I just listened to an interview, a debate on the Joe Rogan podcast of a guy who eats meat and a guy who is a cardiovascular surgeon who is vegan. And they were arguing the different points on how red meat affects your heart. And we heard through interviews that we've done that consuming more than 12 ounces of red meat a week directly relates to colorectal cancer. Both of these guys were arguing. One of the vegan guys was saying, yes, it relates. The other dude was saying, no, it doesn't, based off of these more recent studies. And I just listened for 3.5 hours on my ride home from Indiana about this topic. I know all the things now.
So you understand ketones and how the brain works?
1,000%. It's crazy. No, but seriously though, so that's where I get all my information from now. But there's a lot of stuff that you and I do that Rogan would never do. So support us instead.
And we actually reviewed some of the scotches that were on his own show that he literally knows nothing about.
Correct.
But it's fine.
I still love him though.
There's a lot of friends that I have that, well, okay, not a lot. I'm referencing one specific friend in one specific conversation. However, I know it's uniformed across the board.
ever.
Literally everyone, trust me.
Billions and billions of friends.
So, and they're like, I listen to Joe Rogan because it's educational.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you don't even understand all the things that we talk about on our show that is educational.
Yeah.
Whether it's from the business owners themselves, hearing their story about what their entire mission statement is, what they offer, all that, etc. Or we talk about the difference between barrel strength and single barrel. And that's a clip. That's not even a full episode. Like, where we talk about all the things. Like, listen. Watch. Like, you'd be surprised how much the difference between cocoa and cacao.
Shit. I was going to do that today. I was going to bring out cacao nibs for you to try, and I forgot.
Next week.
Yeah.
Write it down.
Next week.
So that's my pen died. But yeah, so like there's a lot to this show that isn't just about small businesses and just about local distilleries. The vast range of topics that we're putting out for content for y'all is sensational. Like, absorb it, use it, enjoy it. It's free. We're not charging anything for it.
Which in the future we probably should.
That's hilarious. Let's actually get to that point and then have that conversation for like Patreons where they can get additional info where we dive into specific things because we're certified bourbon stewards level 3.
Yeah, let us know if that's something you would be interested in. Seriously, like honestly, as a genuine conversation piece, let us know if that's something that you would be interested in us creating a Patreon that has episodes releasing early, that has additional content surrounding anything bourbon or anything that you guys want to talk about. If you're a patron of this show, you can dictate how this show runs.
You will tell us you will now record this and put this out, and we're like, oh, give the people what they want,
right,
dude. It's fine. We'll make it work.
Yeah. So let us know if you'd be interested in that type of content. We will be circling back with other structured episodes.
We're not saying that on the show. We're not saying circling back.
I will circle back with you. We will be coming back to the
We will revisit.
structured. We will revisit these structured episodes in the future. But right now, Mike and I are just having some fun. We're trying to not do some homework because this podcast got so homework-like that we were like, you know what, let's just take a break. So we'll be back eventually about more based like stuffs.
Yeah, we'll talk about architecture. We'll talk about the celebrities that are from Buffalo. We'll talk all the fancy things.
We'll talk about bourbon. We're going to do a couple segment mini-series-esque type things where we rate and discuss specific bourbons. That way you guys can see what we would rank from a 1 to 10 scale. Our best budget bourbons, our best expensive bourbons, our best rye whiskeys, our best scotches, our best so-and-so and so on and so forth.
So subscribe so you're caught up. Yeah. And that's it.
We got a lot of stuff coming out.
So thanks for your time, everyone. We appreciate it. Once again, follow us on all social media platforms. Derek, this has been episode 80. This is episode 80, which is insane to think about.
20 more.
20 more until our 100th episode.
What are we going to do?
Oh, I was literally just going to say we're going to start planning that tonight because
That's true.
That's a huge milestone.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it. So cheers to another week. We appreciate all support thus far. We're excited to produce more content for everyone that listens from all around the world. And Derek, I will see you next week for episode 80.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
81. Sorry.
Please drink responsibly. Be a good person. And Michael,
Do not litter.
we're out.